This is the Sports Loudmouth.
631-672-3108 is the number to call. You're listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy. Speedy. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including the Loudmouth with me and Speedy PD every single Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. All you have to do to tune in and check out our local listing for all our shows is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. This guy's been waiting, and we're very happy to have him on. I know he's a very busy man, and he's doing so many great things all over the country. We're now talking a former 12-year NFL linebacker, our friend, Chris Draft. Chris, what's up, buddy?
Nothing much, man. How are you guys doing?
Well, as you can see, I mean, we went from the Jets to the Giants, not very good. As we all know, the Jets have always fallen flat on their faces. They lose guys like it's water. I mean, the Jets lost 16 offensive linemen last year and barely could, get a guy off the scrap heap. And then Aaron Rodgers goes down in 4 plays before he even stepped on a football field. That's wonderful. And then you have the Giants with their stupidity deciding, hey, you know what? We don't need Saquon. We don't need him. We'll just get Motor. He played well for the Texans last year under a great offense and a great defense. Oh, wonderful. Great move for the New York Giants. Anyways, that's how we feel as New York fans.
I felt all of that, man. I was listening and I could feel there a little bit of frustration. Just a
little bit. I'm a little lost.
A little bit of frustration.
I'd rather take a dump than talk about the Giants and the Jets. Okay, I mean, serious. All the Jet fans out there, and I am a Jet fan. I am a diehard Jet fan, always have been. I try to hide it now because I'm a radio show host and I sit here and I'm trying to be professional here. But as professional as I could be, I'm going to speak the truth. And New York Jet fans are absolutely blinded by what you see on the field. I don't care how much talent they have. I remember 4 years ago, Speedy looked at the talent of the Cleveland Browns with Baker Mayfield and said, Super Bowl contenders, they're going to win the Super Bowl.
3 years ago, they were my AFC pick for the Super Bowl.
They didn't even make the playoffs.
I was right about the Rams winning it that year, but the Browns were my pick of the AFC after they almost beat the Chiefs.
They didn't even make the playoffs.
Nope.
Chris, I mean, come on. Jet fans got to stop. I mean, when was the last time the Jets made the playoffs? I don't know.
It's
2011, whatever it was.
Yeah, it's been a while. They had some great teams where really started with a strong defense and an amazing offensive line, combined with some running backs that could get it done, wide receivers that were threats, and then just a quarterback that could get the ball to them. So I think the big thing is, with both of those teams, when you see it, is that they're trying to get that, get over the hump. And I would say that the Jets have a better opportunity of getting over the hump than the Giants, where they've just put too much money into their quarterback, where you got to have weapons around him. You got to be able to do that. And I think you see that with teams where they end up paying somebody a little bit too much, right? And they forget that it's a team game. So what made the Patriots so great for so long, which teams that have had consistent winning, is that they make sure that they have players, right, to surround it. And then if a guy tries to get paid too much, in a lot of cases, you're going to have to make a very difficult decision and maybe let somebody go. But you got to make sure you replace them, right? Because otherwise you just have a big old hole.
Well, it's so funny. You even mentioned the Patriots and all the Patriot fans and all the fans out there. Oh, Tom Brady did it himself. He won 6 Super Bowls when it takes a team to win a Super Bowl. Everybody, I don't know if you heard what LeBron James said the other day. Did you hear what LeBron James said the other day?
I didn't. He's always saying so. What did LeBron say the other day?
Oh, you're going to love this one, okay? He said that on his, what did he call it?
Mount Rushmore.
His Mount Rushmore, that he would put Patrick Mahomes right now on his Mount Rushmore. Right now on his Mount Rushmore after 7 years in the NFL. He's on drugs. He's on drugs.
I think that he's right on in terms of
really.
When you look at if we look at Tom Brady and what he has accomplished, that one of the best things that has happened is that Patrick Mahomes is in the right place for him, and that he's going to continue to win as long as they can continue to run the system that they're doing. it is a lot like what they've done with Tom Brady. So I would say that he's he's accomplished a whole bunch.
Yes. So you're telling me right now, and I'm going to cut you off. I'm sorry to cut you off. If you look at Patrick Mahomes right now and you compare his numbers to Andrew Luck, they're almost identical. Andrew Luck played 7 years. Patrick Mahomes played 7 years. But Patrick Mahomes won 3 Super Bowls. But Patrick Mahomes played on a better team. Patrick Mahomes has a better offensive line, has a better coach. Andrew Luck had nothing. He was getting killed every single year. But his numbers are Patrick Mahomes like. So if you're going to tell me right now, because Patrick Mahomes has 3 Super Bowls, which it takes a team to win, you're going to tell me then Andrew Luck should be up there. Andrew Luck should be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I think that's the hard part when you're going back and forth and you just look at numbers, right? You can go to any sport where you just look at numbers and there'll be people that could fill it up and make things happen. But the key is, especially with football as the ultimate team sport, is how do they make the team better? And I think that's such a key component to it. And part of it is not just them, but also how does the team make sure that their guy is surrounded by the players that they need. So I'll say that, Andrew Luck, a Stanford guy, is an amazing player. Patrick Mahomes is an amazing player, but, honestly, the Chiefs have they've done a better job of putting pieces around them so that he can have success. And again, part of that is, can be Patrick Mahomes. Part of that is the system. Just making sure that's a priority. And that's why, depending on what team you go to, all right, that sometimes you're kind of fighting against a system that doesn't realize, it doesn't, that when you need certain pieces, they don't get it, right? And they put too much on certain players. And because of that, the team is just never real good because they need that solid chemistry where no one tries to do too much.
I know you're us talking about the running back contracts with Saquon Barkley and stuff like that. And your position, the linebacker position, has been another one that's kind of been devalued this offseason. A lot of key guys being cut by teams and taking a while for them to get signed. So what are your thoughts to all that? Even safeties, too. We were just talking about some of the other ones that as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing that as those things are changing over. But, the leadership from that linebacker position is critical. And I think teams that win recognize that. But the reality is there is always a point where there's an amount of money where someone has to, be willing to go someplace else. Right. And, again, it's unfortunate because you would love for them to be able to stay. But, you need those leaders on your defense. You need a linebacker that sets the tone. Somebody that makes plays, gets people together, moves them around. And again, I think, you see that on teams that are successful. But, again, certain teams value things more than others. I mean, yeah, you're showing, Ray Lewis that, it was obvious at that time that the linebacker position was critically important. Again, just like the running back, as you said, they've changed a little bit more, and that's partly because, less emphasis on running, more throwing the ball and getting people out there in space. But there's nothing, you still need leaders on your team. You still need those folks that are going to be able to stand up and keep people on the same page. So when they start moving people around, that you're able to adjust.
It's unbelievable. When you watch the video of Ray Lewis, he's just unbelievable. He really is. I remember him, and I watched him, and I was like, this guy is unbelievable. But when you watch clips of him and how he hits and how he saw things before they even happen, and he would just break right through the crease and hit a running back before he even moved. I mean, before he can pass the line of scrimmage, he was getting hit by Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable how great of a player he was.
I mean, just an amazing player, but when you put him together with Ed Reed and then just really with an understanding of how you want to play defense. And so, you have guys up in front that are going to make sure he stays as clean as possible, because if you do, he's flying through and he's going to make plays, right? If you keep him healthy by not making him have to deal with as many offensive linemen. And so, I would say that's when you see teams that play well, they understand what people do well, and they put them in positions for that to happen, right? And recognize always that it's a team game. I mean, Ray Lewis is amazing, but he was never out there just by himself, right? There are some other amazing players that are right there with him. So as great as he is, if he was just that guy by himself, he's not Ray Lewis, right? He's going to make plays, yes, but you're not going to see him like that he can be, because what really makes him great is his ability to take other players that are, that can play ball and elevate them to another level based on not just, his play, but just his presence.
We are talking to former 12-year NFL linebacker Chris Draft, a friend of the show, played in 1998 all the way to 2010 with the Bears, the 49ers, the Falcons, the Panthers, the Rams, the Bills. Long career and doing great things right now after his career, as always. It's crazy, Chris. You look at the league now and the transition of the different rules, and, we have a stupid commissioner like Roger Goodell, even though he's bringing money to the NFL and not investing into the players or ex-players that have, bad knees, bad necks, bad, brain trauma, all the different things that has happened to these players. And we've talked to former NFL players many, many times in the show. And you look at the league now, and you look at the transition of the league, and these players are much faster, much more, athletic. Where do you see the NFL now with the fields being all turf and there's really no more grass anymore? And look at all these different injuries that we're seeing, Achilles injuries, the knee injuries, and all the different injuries that end these guys, seasons and maybe some of their careers. What do you see that the NFL needs to do that's going to help the league move forward with all these different injuries?
Well, I'll tell you this: the game is always evolving. So I think that's something that's really critical. It's always evolving, and usually safety is a big part of the game evolving, right? And so that's why if we go and look at video from the 70s, they're doing some ridiculous stuff. It is absolutely dangerous. It's terrible, and you can get the old school guys on there talking, I'm trying to knock their heads off. I'm trying to do this and do that. It's a different game. It's a different game. So what I'll say is it's always evolving. It's been evolving. I'm not a fan of the field turf, but to be able to play multiple events and different things, they've gone to the field turf. I've always was one that loved grass. It's why the Carolina Panthers Bank of America Stadium was my favorite place to play. And I felt it. So it wasn't like it was just my favorite place, but by playing with the Panthers for a couple of years, it was night and day on Tuesday, right? Monday and Tuesday after the game in terms of the recovery. But I'll say this, that the field turf is not the same as it was initially because they are changing it out more. They're making sure that it's better, right? Whereas, when they had AstroTurf, they'd leave that down for a long time, unless they just had to replace it. You put Ray Lewis up here, and you talked about him when they won the Super Bowl in 2000, and the next season they played against the Philadelphia Eagles in the preseason. They refused to play, and they forced the Eagles to replace the turf at the Vet because they said it was absolutely terrible. And so that was at a time, by playing in 1998, I was right at this transition. It's like mid 90s, to mid 2000s, where you get all these brand new stadiums where you actually have football only stadiums. But for the longest, we had mixed use stadiums where I remember tripping over when I played for the Niners in 1999, tripping over, and I think it was second base at Riverfront Stadium. Because that was where the Reds played and the Bengals played it, and they would just put this turf cover on, and there was still seams because there was they'd have the dirt for the bases, and then they just cover it up. And I remember tripping. I was thinking, man, that is absolutely ridiculous. So what I have to I guess the bigger thing that I'll say is that we're evolving, right? And so yes, you would grass would be better. The field turf is getting better, but it also makes the game faster. But it's so much better than it was. The mixed use fields were horrible. Outdoors, they'd have the dirt field that was when it was hot outside, the thing would feel like it was like hitting almost the concrete when you went down on the dirt. If you guys remember Oakland, the Coliseum,
I was about to say
literally had from like almost 20 to 20 dirt in the middle of the field. So again, would love there be some more changes and everything in terms of the surface, but at the same time, being able to play on a field that is consistent across is something that for most of the NFL type, the history of the NFL, that was not the case. And so we've we've got to where we have NFL, with really kind of Oakland holding out where the Raiders went down to Las Vegas. But these are football only stadiums. And that means it's only been a couple of years since that's happened.
Mark Davis. The only reason why Mark Davis left Oakland is because he knew that Vegas was going to get the tax money from all those casinos to make him a new stadium, and he didn't even have to pay for, okay? And that's why they moved to Vegas. Mark Davis is not stupid, okay? But he knew what he's doing. He can't even afford his own team. He's got Tom Brady buying into it, okay? Let's be honest about Mark Davis.
No, that's absolutely honest. I mean, the Raiders, I grew up in Southern California. The Raiders moved down to L.A. from Oakland, so that they could be in a football-only stadium where they played in the Coliseum. But then the Coliseum was old. They're splitting time with USC. UCLA had went to the Rose Bowl for the longest time with the Rams before they went to Anaheim. They actually shared the home with UCLA and USC,
wow.
which is absolutely crazy. So they went. When the Raiders came down, the UCLA went to the Rose Bowl, and then the Raiders split it with USC. But they've done that. I mean, that's a part of Al Davis, Mark Davis, trying to find a way to get the stadium. They were able to. Yeah, you see Candlestick right there.
Mark Davis needs to go get himself a new haircut. I mean, seriously, go spend some money on a new haircut. Ugh. I mean, looks like Joe Dirt.
He has got that long money. He says, "I'm not even worried about it, man. I can wear however I want." But just again, like the fact Vegas created an opportunity that they wanted, and that was so that he could hold on to the team without having to spend any money. And so he finally got put in that position to be able to get it done. And again, beautiful stadium. But what I'm saying is, it's only been a couple of years where we've had football only stadiums across the board, and so that's a big deal. Like I said, you saw it. I played on that field right there. It's Candlestick. I played on that. I played on other ones from the Vet to Riverfront to Three Rivers. I mean, these places were terrible.
So one of the rule changes this offseason, one of the first ones in the offseason.
That is an ugly stadium, man. Ugh.
So one of the first rule changes this offseason was the banning of the hip drop tackle, which involves players tackling with their hips, swiveling, stuff like that. So as a player, as a former player, what were your thoughts on that? And describe to the fans the hip drop tackle. You think it's something that should be taken away in the NFL for player safety?
I tell you this: there's always adjustments, man, and and there's always adjustments. So I was playing when they added the Tom Brady rule on the quarterbacks where you couldn't hit them below the knee, and then the other part of just adjusting with how you hit them where you don't go head first and you can't go too high. So I guess to say that this is just another adjustment, that when you get big, strong, fast guys, that this ability to pick somebody up and drop them and take them down, take their legs out from under them and bring them down, could, it's dangerous, right? But again, the game is dangerous, but it's just always trying to make the adjustments that make it less dangerous. And so, yeah, I get it's hard to say. Like, there's always some type of adjustment every year. I think we're just seeing it more now because of so much coverage. But every year that I was playing, there was something. There's a point of emphasis where this game is continually adjusted.
As everybody knows, we are talking to former 12-year NFL linebacker Chris Draft. He's been on our show quite a few times. We love him. He's got so many good takes when it comes to football, life, and everything that's gone on in his career away from football. It's pretty amazing. It's a pretty amazing story on really where he's gone since football. Chris, my thought right now in the NFL, and there's a lot that the NFL needs to do and what they have done, but going into this season, there's a lot of questions on who is the NFL really pushing to win the Super Bowl. And obviously we know a team like Kansas City that has a chance to three-peat. No team's ever done that in NFL history. We know what happened last year. We know Buffalo got screwed because of the Swifties. And we all know the little take over there. If you watch that game in the playoffs, I think Buffalo got screwed. And the only reason why the NFL wanted Kansas City to make the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl is because of Taylor Swift. When you see what's going on in the NFL, and obviously the NFL as far as the Super Bowl is concerned, everybody says there's no way the Super Bowl is going to be the most watched. It always is the most watched. After Taylor Swift going to the Super Bowl and being the face of the Kansas City success, what do you see happening this year? Is there a team out there that the NFL wants to see win a Super Bowl?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I mean, there's always a lot of stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Kansas City, they've just done a great job of continuing to keep their team together. I mean, I can't say that in terms of Buffalo, Josh Allen's tried to take too much and put too much on his shoulders, right? And that's where in a game where a team plays more as a team, they have an advantage. But again, there's some great stories. I would say that Atlanta right now, if they put it together the right way with Kirk Cousins being able to get this ball to all the weapons on offense and the defense really stepping up and making plays as a defense. Again, no one having to do too much, being able to get pressure on a quarterback consistently out of four rushers, keeping Grady Jarrett fresh, and then making plays at the ball so they can get the ball back to the offense. I'm excited for them. I'm excited to see what they're able to accomplish. Definitely the 49ers are, they're going to be in the mix. They're going to consistently be in the mix. Again, the Rams with McVay as a coach, they're always going to have a chance in terms of.
I was waiting for you to say the Jets. Where's the Jets in this conversation? Where the hell are the Jets?
So I'll tell you that it's hard. It's hard to just put the Jets up there. But again, if you're talking about storylines that the NFL would love for one of those New York teams to be able to. So the Jets, they would love that. Mr. Goodell has a suite at MetLife Stadium. So would they love for the New York teams to do well? Absolutely. And really, the Jets have the best chance to be able, to be a better team. The unfortunate part for them is that their division, it has Buffalo. Their division has Miami, and we'll see with New England, but they have Buffalo. They have Miami.
Oh, you know the answer to that. Come on. New England. Give me a break. They traded away their best pass rusher. They have nobody that can catch the ball. I mean, New England's probably the worst team in the NFL right now. So let's not bring up New England. This isn't Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and those Super Bowl champions. This is Gerard Mayo and Jacoby Brissett. That type of Patriot team. Oh, come on. Stop it, Chris. Stop selling it.
I said the Jets that you have to contend with Buffalo and Miami. I didn't
what
say
about the Jets? They got Aaron Rodgers. He's got to be the best quarterback in that class. I mean, him and Josh Allen. I mean, Tua.
He is. But the key is, can he stay healthy? I mean, what was it? You said it was 4 plays and he goes down with an Achilles. Yes. Now he's coming back from an Achilles. Yes. So as much as I would love to see him play and really. His leadership with the Jets that will allow the players that he has around him to be successful. It didn't take much for him to get hurt. So hopefully he's able to. I mean, I'm wishing, praying that he doesn't get hurt because their season will be totally different if he is healthy.
Yeah. Before we let you go, I just want to get some information. What have you been doing over the last couple of months, or really the last year we haven't spoken to you? That's my question.
Well, I still do a lot of cancer advocacy work. I mean, that's my main
unbelievable thing. Stuff that you're doing, by the way.
Lung cancer awareness. That it's so much just team building. It's team building, and recognizing. I know you guys will beat up on Roger Goodell a little bit, but I appreciate the importance of the NFL office in that. If you don't have an NFL office, that literally players will ruin the game, coaches will ruin the game, administration will ruin the game, owners will ruin the game unless you have people that create a standard. And so, the standard within the NFL is you want competitiveness. Now with that competitiveness and with that salary cap, it means that whoever manages it the best is going to have the best team. And so. But at the very least, that's what the NFL is fighting for, is making sure that there's parity, and now how you use it, that's on you. And so that's really what I try to bring to the lung cancer community, is something similar, is that it's not good enough to have just a Yankees, right? Or just a Laker team that is just so good. We're in those sports, like you can just have teams that are so dominant that pretty much the other ones don't have a chance, versus really saying that we want to have these health systems in all our different communities that make it where people can have access to high level care without having to travel so much. And they can get taken care of close to home, which then allows them to spend as much time with their family, be able to continue working, and have the least amount of impact on their lives as they're going through this terrible disease.
You're amazing. You really are. I really appreciate all the time. And we love to get you on more often, but I know you're a busy man, and I know you're doing things, you're traveling. One of these days you're going to have to invite us to one of these events. And maybe
absolutely. I got to come up that way. I mean, I had a chance to go to, last week I was in New York and stopped by Mount Sinai and then visited one of the thoracic surgeons that's at Montefree in the Bronx. And when I was at Mount Sinai, I actually talked to them.
Fantastic hospital, by the way. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah. So talk to them about the screening program as it relates to the service that they're doing for the people affected by 9/11. And so I'm hoping to be back up here in the next couple of weeks and be able to speak more to that, as we're reminding people that, we got to take care of the folks that put their lives on the line. It can't just be never forget, without realizing that there are people that are impacted by it, and that we continue to serve them in a way where they just don't have to work so hard. All right. And that they get served at the highest level.
Well, you do great things. And when you do come up here, you better let us know. I want to go to the event. I'd love to speak. I know a little bit about cancer and what it's done to a lot of people, family, friends, and everything. And it would be great. I would love to come to one of the events and really get to see what you do and what you've been doing over the last couple of years.
Awesome. Now I'll let you guys know when I'm coming up that way.
Absolutely. Chris, we really appreciate you, buddy.
Awesome, man. You guys have a good one.
Chris Draft, ladies and gentlemen, 12-year NFL vet, retired, doing great things for lung cancer, and he loves Roger Goodell.
My guy.
I listen, if somebody's got to love him, it's Chris Draft. He's the one. I love you, Chris. I love you. You really are. Awesome. He's fantastic. Every time he comes on the show, he really brightens up the day. Oh, yeah. All that screaming about the Giants and the Jets, he puts a smile on my face for all the good things that he does. So, Chris Draft.
Yeah.
Chris, just push for them to see that life turf.
I know it. I know it. It's hard. Like I said, I was always a fan of Bank America Stadium, and Jerry Richardson, who was a former player, recognized the importance of having amazing grass field. It was a putting green. Again, it was amazing. I loved it. My favorite place, but it's just kind of how the game works.
Yeah, whatever. You want to break your leg, you're on MetLife Stadium turf, and I've heard many different people, Mike Evans, everybody telling me that. Well, what I've seen over the last couple of years, them complaining that it feels like they're landing on cement every time they land on they're jumping and they land on the turf. So good for them. Good for them. Good for the NFL. Good for MetLife. What did they spend $1 billion on that stadium? Great move.
And I'll tell you this. When the right people stand up and say something, things can get changed. All right. So again, just like with Ray Lewis, when they had the juice and they said no, if it needs to get changed out more so it can be softer, there are certain people that need to speak up and say it. It's not everybody that has that juice to be heard, but the ones that do have the juice, speak up.
Yeah, why don't we reach out to Alex Rodriguez? He knows all about juice.
Different kind of juice.
I'm just kidding. Alex, I love you, man. I've had good conversations with Alex Rodriguez. He's one of those guys that I actually like. So I'm sorry, Alex. I didn't want to throw you under the bus on that one. Thank you, Chris. We really appreciate the time.
Awesome, man. You guys be great. Right.
Chris Draft. Fantastic.
Mhm.
Fantastic guy. He is fantastic. This is the first time you guys got a chance to see Chris. He's been on our show quite a few times. He's doing a lot of great things for lung cancer. The last time he was on, he was telling us, I think a family member had cancer. I think it was him.
Yeah, it was one of his family members. I think it was. Yeah, I think it was his niece or his aunt, something like that.
Yes, and she was very sick, and this was one of the reasons why he got involved with it. And he is a great person. He really is. He's a great person. 12 years in the NFL is a long career.
Yeah.
In the NFL, he had a long career. And if you don't remember Chris Draft, he played for a lot of different teams, and he made every single one of those teams. And he was a starter for a significant amount of time.
Yeah, I remember him with Atlanta, definitely. Yeah. That was the first time I remember seeing him play, and then he played with the Bills a little after.
You can't forget him because he's always got a smile on his face. Oh, yeah. That guy always smiles. I have never seen him. Every time, it doesn't matter how bad the world is going or anything bad going in the world, Chris Draft is always smiling. So he definitely brightens up my day when he comes on the show. The Bears Hard Knocks had their final episode yesterday, which featured GM Ryan Poles, which, by the way, I haven't even watched, saying that the quarterback search is over, and hopefully it will stay that way. It better stay that way, because how many quarterbacks are you going to draft in the top 5? Well, I don't know. Poles also attended Clemson-Georgia matchup on Saturday with Giants GM, the idiot, Joe Shane. And Shane joked that it is nice not having to look for a quarterback. Shane was previously criticized for surprising Daniel Jones on Hard Knocks with the thought of them trading up for a quarterback at number 3. It also showed the process of Ryan Poles catering Justin Fields' desire to be traded to the Steelers back in March. Head coach Matt Eberflus, the biggest idiot of them all, says that he trusts the Bears' process and doesn't mind the rest of the league and fans seeing it live. Caleb Williams was one of 8 Bears players that were named captains this season. I love Caleb Williams. I love him. I've loved him since high school. For all those analysts, and Speedy knows, he's been on the show for 7-8 years now with me, and I've been honest. I watched this kid, Caleb Williams, play in high school, and I told many different analysts this guy is going to be the number 1 pick. And every one of them told me I'm nuts, I'm on drugs, I don't know what I'm talking about. I would love to get those guys on the show. They'll never come on the show.
Yeah, we have to get our friend Carl Reed back on. He's the first one that criticized you.
He was another one. But he won't come on the show.
No, he said he was interested a couple of weeks ago, but I haven't heard from him since.
I can't wait until he comes on the show.
We'll see sometime during the
bite his head off. And not that head, but you know what I mean. Yeah. But the Speedy didn't even understand what I was talking about. But anyways, it's interesting here. It's interesting here with the whole Poles and Shane thing. I'm going to tell you why it's interesting. Ryan Poles, I know a lot of people like Poles and they think he's a good GM. What has he done good? Seriously, how long has he been there? He's been there, 4 years?
3 years.
3 years. He's been there 3 years. In 3 years, he went from one quarterback, which he drafted and he moved up for and traded away a tremendous amount to get, to a quarterback that you practically got lucky with and it fell into your lap in Caleb Williams. And you still decided in the offseason to stick with Matt Eberflus, who is probably one of the dumbest coaches we've seen in NFL history. I'm serious. How do you keep Matt Eberflus as your head coach when you're bringing in a new quarterback? You're the number 1 pick in the draft. Now let's just look at their draft stock of quarterbacks over the last, I would say, 7 years. First, they moved up, and at number 3, they moved up with the 49ers and drafted Mitchell Trubisky. Mitchell Trubisky was there for how long? 3 years? He's gone. Then a couple of years later after that, they move up, they trade with the Giants, and they get Justin Fields. How long did they keep Justin Fields? 3 years. And now, ladies and gentlemen, they have Caleb Williams, who I love. And they decided with a new quarterback, a new team, and a new scheme, because you're bringing a new offensive coordinator, to keep this idiot as your head coach. I don't understand it. And that's Ryan Poles. Ryan Poles is on a hot seat. He's on a hot seat. Now, it's not rocket science where you go at number 1. Everybody would have went with Caleb Williams. Everybody and their mother would have went with Caleb Williams because you know how talented the kid is. You know he's the closest thing to Aaron Rodgers we've ever seen. I'm serious. From all the quarterbacks that we mentioned, Trevor Lawrence, all those guys, Andrew Luck, every one of them that everybody said, oh, this guy's the next big thing. Caleb Williams is the closest thing I've seen to a quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. The closest. Here's the problem. When you have Joe Shane hanging out with your GM and joking about the quarterback, it only tells me one thing. It tells me 2 idiots mean 2 idiots getting fired. You have 2 idiots hanging out with one another talking about the quarterback play. One idiot that decided, hey, you know what? I had a quarterback fall to my lap. Another idiot decided to trade away a quarterback that a lot of the players like and trade him for a 6th-round draft pick to Pittsburgh. It doesn't make any sense. And Matt Eberflus should not be there. This is a good team. It's very well built. I like Odunze. I think he was a great pick at number 9. I really do. I know the Jets tried to move up for him. There's no secret to that. They tried to move up for Odunze. That's who they wanted. They couldn't move up because the Chicago Bears were sitting there at 9, and they knew that's where they were going.
And for some reason, the Falcons didn't want to trade get an extra 4th from the Jets to go back 2 picks.
They bring in Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen was a Pro Bowl player last year, put up big numbers on a Charger team that had a 3rd-string quarterback throwing him the ball. I think it was a good move. Signing him 3 years, that's overdoing it. You gave him a 3-year deal, and the guy's what? 30, 31 years old. He's had how many knee problems, how many knee injuries, how many leg injuries? The guy can't stay healthy. I mean, last year was the first year in a very long time he stayed fully healthy. This is a team that's just aiming to fail again this year. And I'm on not because I think Caleb Williams is going to fail. I think he's going to be sensational. I think he's going to put up, there are going to be games that we're going to be like, wow, this guy is unbelievable. And then we're going to see games where he's playing these good teams, and one of these guys or 2 of these guys are going to go down. This is an offensive line that played well last year, but I don't know how. I have this bad feeling that with the Bears, just like the Jets, when somebody goes down and one player goes down, it all goes down in flames. And to see Ryan Poles make jokes and then Joe Shane making jokes about the quarterback play when he threw his quarterback under the bus, shame on him for doing that on Hard Knocks. If I was Daniel Jones, I would have pulled Joe Shane to the side after the whole Hard Knocks, and I would have said, don't you ever talk about my position again. You're the one who gave me $40 million. If you didn't really trust in me as a quarterback, you shouldn't have given me the money. You should have let me go to free agency and let me go to another team. It's embarrassing. Just like Saquon Barkley came out on the Hard Knocks and said, why would you put that on Hard Knocks? Why would you put that conversation, that phone call with me on Hard Knocks? That's embarrassing. And that shows you the incompetence of Joe Shane. It also shows the incompetence of our friend over here in Mr. Poles. I just think he's an idiot too. What's going to happen at the end of the season if Chicago can't get over the hump? Because I expect Chicago to win 8 or 9 games this year. I think they're a borderline wildcard team. I think they could make it. The talent that they have right now. I mean, their defense, they made a move for Montez. I mean, last year at the trade deadline, bringing him in from Washington, he's finally breaking out and being that defensive player we thought he was going to be coming out of the draft. I think they have a very good defense. I think this is the best defense we've seen since the Urlacher defense that they've had. If this team falls apart this year and Matt Eberflus is at the helm, not only is Matt Eberflus should be fired, and we said this about Joe Shane and Brian Daboll, because I think they're both out. I don't care what Fish says. If Joe Shane's out, Daboll is out. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus are on the hot seat. If this team doesn't win 8 or 9 games with the talent that they have around them, and they also, I forgot DJ Moore, okay? I forgot about him too. I mean, this could be the best trio in the NFL. This could be the best trio of wide receivers in the NFL. When was the last time we've seen the Chicago Bears have elite wide receivers? What was it? Brandon Marshall? That was one before he went nuts.
That was 1 year, too.
Before he went nuts.
Yeah, it was him and Alshon Jeffrey for 1 year, and then, like, it disappeared after that.
I mean, seriously, we have not seen a trio like this with the Chicago Bears ever in the last, I don't remember in the last 25 years.
No, they've always been really bad at developing homegrown passing game talent. They're always good at finding running backs. They're always pretty good at finding offensive linemen, but their defense is always the specialty that they've built on. And finally, you're seeing a more modern change with some of these Bears trades that have come. And even the free agency spree they had last year, too. They went after a lot of free agent guys that ended up working out on their defense, and they've traded for Sweat, like you were saying, a very good value trade. This is a team that's going to have massive expectations. We were talking about the Texans yesterday. Like, this is the other NFC equivalent with all the young talent.
Hopefully. He uses the word hopefully. It's the last time we'll be looking for a quarterback in a long time. Hopefully. You better hope, more than hopefully, you better make sure for damn sure that Caleb Williams was your guy. Because if Jaden Daniels puts up these unbelievable numbers, and by the way, I love him with Kyle Kingsbury. I love him. Kingsbury, I think, is a great offensive coordinator. I don't think he's a great coach. I think he's a great offensive coordinator. And we all know that Kingsbury was looked at by the New York Jets. And if Robert a.k.a. Bambi Saleh gets fired at the end of the season and Kingsbury puts up big numbers, don't be surprised, Jet fans, if the new next head coach of the New York Jets is Mr. Kingsbury.
Yeah, and again, to go back to the Bears, it's a natural progression that Matt Eberflus mentioned. Like, it's progressing in the right direction. Teams are building younger too. The Bears reminded me of the Bills when at the beginning of Josh Allen's career, the way drafting well, building up this young team. The Bears have drafted very well in recent years, and obviously the trade with the Panthers really helped that kind of thing too. They got all those draft picks to make that kind of thing work. But Eberflus does remain a little bit of a blemish because of the relationship he had with Justin Fields. He has to work on that kind of thing with Caleb Williams. Otherwise,
Cliff, I'm sorry, I said Kyle.
Yeah,
sorry.
you did.
Cliff Kingsbury. Why don't you correct me?
You always hate when I correct you.
But you could have corrected me. Cliff Kingsbury. I'm sorry. Cliff Kingsbury. I'm sorry, Cliff. Hopefully you don't fall off a cliff.
No, hopefully that doesn't happen. But go back to the Bears.
Who knows? He is with Washington.
Yeah, that's always true. But
he could fall off a cliff.
But Matt Eberflus has to realize that he has to get that.
Is there any cliffs in Washington?
I don't know. Probably not.
I don't think so.
No, there's a lot of cherry blossoms over there.
Cherry what?
Blossoms.
What the hell is a cherry blossom?
The trees.
Cherry? Who uses cherry blossoms? Just say there's a lot of trees. Cherry blossoms? I know them. I know the TV show Blossom. You ever see that show?
No.
Oh, you're too young for that.
Yeah, I'm too young for that.
Yeah.
But the Bears,
I probably would have thought Blossom was cute. I think you would have.
Maybe. But
should I show you a picture of her?
No.
No? Why not?
It's not going to matter now.
Could we, if you think she's cute, I think she's single now.
I don't care.
You sure?
I don't care.
I mean, she might be interested.
I don't care.
I mean, you are a bigger star than she is now.
It doesn't matter.
It means a lot to me.
Okay, well, enjoy your hypothetical crap. Now, getting back on topic with Matt Eberflus, while you go off on a tangent, he has to learn the relationship with the quarterback position if he wants to stay as a head coach, because Ryan Poles has built up enough talent on this team that you're right, they should be a playoff team on paper. This is one of the best teams growth-wise. Think about what Justin Fields did. We talk about it all the time. What Justin Fields had to throw to in 2021 was absolutely horrible. And a lot of that has to do with the previous GM and Ryan Pace making some really bad draft picks at the beginning of his drafts. They couldn't draft wide receivers well. They couldn't draft offensive line well. Now they have a lot of those guys in place. Good 5th round, 4th round picks they've hit on, and great trade with the Carolina Panthers.
A little phlegm in that throw to yours. Was it the Blossom thing?
The great trade with the Carolina Panthers to get Darnell. They get Darnell right. They accumulate Jack Sanborn, a linebacker. They got Dexter, a defensive tackle. This is a really good team, and they've gotten good contracts. The only bad thing I think Poles has really done is the Chase Claypool trade, where they traded a 2nd round pick for him. Everything else he's done well, but Eberflus, he hasn't really done much as a head coach perspective, as much as he's done with the defense.
I'm going to tell you this right now. He is on the hot seat. This team should be a playoff team. I know everybody says Chicago hasn't been a playoff team for a long time, for a while. It's been a couple of years. I think
it's that 1 year with Trubisky,
which, by the way, they were one of the best teams in the league that year.
Yeah, they were the best defense in the NFL
when they had Khalil Mack in his first year over there. I think he had like 15 sacks, 14 sacks.
I think you picked him to go to the Super Bowl.
I did.
Year, and they lost against the Eagles.
Boy, was I absolutely wrong about that one. But I loved him that year, and I actually liked Mitchell Trubisky. I did. I thought.
Yes, you had many arguments with Carl about that.
Well, Carl is a Chicago fan. He didn't like Mitch. He called him Mitch the bitch. I understand. a lot of Chicago Bears fans. But you should be excited about Caleb Williams, and you should have been excited about Justin Fields, but you just didn't develop him right. And by the way, Ryan Poles was there when the development was going on with Justin Fields, and he absolutely struck out there, and he gave him up for nothing. And you made a move for DJ Moore, and you didn't give him any other weapons. You bring in a guy like Caleb Williams, and now all of a sudden you're giving him weapons? Oh, and by the way, you bring in Swift. I mean, what did you give him? You traded away a weapon in David Montgomery. He went to the Lions last year and actually put up great numbers. Did that make any sense? Nothing makes sense with the Chicago Bears, just as much as nothing makes sense with Cleveland or the New York Jets. Nothing makes sense. That's why if you're a Jets fan, a Cleveland Browns fan, or a Chicago Bears fan, or even an Arizona Cardinal fan, you are an idiot. And that's all I'm going to say.
Well, the Cardinals front office loves to leave a lot of things to be desired. The Browns, great track records besides
they
the
drafted
Watson
back-to-back
contract.
quarterbacks in the first round, too.
Well, yeah, they drafted.
So did the Jets.
No, I know. It's funny. I actually did. That draft was the Trubisky draft, too. I remember it was Mahomes and Watson were the two lead guys, and then it was actually Deshaun Kaiser who was the next quarterback drafted, and then it was Baker Mayfield the year after.
I named all these teams with quarterbacks. Just think about it. Arizona, they drafted, they went from one quarterback from UCLA to a quarterback in Kyler Murray. He can't stay healthy. He speaks in a third person. That's probably going to fail. I like Kyler Murray, but that's probably going to fail. A team that can't find a quarterback unless they bring in an old quarterback like Kurt Warner. Okay, so there's a team that can't find a quarterback. You have the New York Jets that have been trying to look for a quarterback for 50 years and still haven't found one. Okay, they bring in old man Aaron Rodgers, so great for them. That's another team. Cleveland, how many quarterbacks have they drafted over the years in the first round? They've all failed, and then they bring in Deshaun Watson, who likes to play with things and get a lot of hand jobs.
The worst contract in the NFL.
Okay, so there's another one. Another team that can't find a quarterback, and then who's the other one I just said?
The Bears,
the Chicago Bears, who can't or has not found a quarterback in about 25, 30 years. And even when they did have a quarterback in 1985 and he wasn't that good, they had to have the best defense, and they had Buddy Ryan coaching the defense for them to win anything. So I just think, honestly, I just named 4 teams that have had trouble drafting quarterbacks or finding quarterbacks, and all 4 teams, when was the last time they've won a Super Bowl? Out of all of them?
The Bears.
The Bears in 1985. Good draft. Congratulations. And before that, when was the last time?
The great New York Jets.
1969. 2 Super Bowls in 50 years. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Out of all 4 of those teams.
The other 2 teams have existed even longer before the Super Bowl era. The Browns, I think their last Super Bowl was in 1957 or so.
What a joke.
And the Cardinals were even longer than that, like 1940.
I want to throw up, guys.
Well, they were the Chicago Cardinals.
It just makes me sick to my stomach. It really does. Because I sit here as a Jet fan, and I don't sit here proudly, okay? I've told you guys this, and I know, wait until tomorrow when the Jet fans are sitting there, and I'm only going to be honest with the Jet fans. I am not going to be afraid to speak what I believe the New York Jets are, and to me, Aaron Rodgers has to prove to me that he can stay healthy in 5 games before I even believe that this team's going to win as many games as I believe they can and be a Super Bowl contender and knock off the Kansas City Chiefs. He has to prove to me that he can stay on his feet and stay healthy. And this offensive line needs to stay healthy long enough for Aaron Rodgers to actually mean anything to this team as the season moves along. And it does get easier for the Jets later in the season. So we'll see what happens. Before we introduce our pal, our partner on the Sports Loudmouth, Mr. Worldwide West, StubHub. Yes, this is brought to you by StubHub. Is an American ticket exchange and resale company. It provides services for buyers and sellers of tickets of sports, concerts, theaters, and other live entertainment events. Ladies and gentlemen, all you have to do is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com, and all you got to do is hit our link, and you will get percentages off. So many different percentages. If you want to go to a concert, you can go to a concert. If you want to go to the Yankees and Royals game, $7 tickets right now you can get on StubHub, and probably less if you go to our link. All you got to do is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com and hit the StubHub link. And then, ladies and gentlemen, start ordering. Speedy, you like to order things.
Well, I put up the CFL games for Wes for sharing the screen here.
No, well, there it is, the CFL games. There it is. I mean, there's a lot of CFL left, isn't there? There is no CFL left, is there?
That's Wes.
Yes, yes. The Grey Cup is not until November, so we're
It's close.
and the entire Western Division is pretty much at 500 fighting for seeding.
That just shows you how much I watch the CFL. I didn't even know. If I was a betting man when it comes to sports, and I don't really bet on sports, people come to me all the time and they ask me who would I go with, especially with football, because I'm very good at making my picks. I'll give you but anytime I bet on my picks, I lose. If I don't bet and other people use my picks, sometimes, most of the time, I would say 5 out of 10 times they're going to win. So that's just the truth. But anyways, Wes, we're very happy to have you. We were speaking earlier in the day. We love you. Are you ready, my friend?
I am.
How was the Kansas City Royals game, by the way?
You know, it was fun. It was fun. There's a lot of politics going on in KC in the last year or so because they want to move the Royal Stadium to, a more downtown area. But Kauffman is a cool stadium. I mean, it is right in your face. It's not new, but they've kept it up really nice, and it's easy to get in and out. And because the parking lot, they share it with Arrowhead, so you got a parking lot that's capable of holding 80,000 people's worth of cars. So for the Royals, you just get in and out. It was great. I took a 2-year-old to a Royals game. He lasted till about the 6th inning. He learned how to clap and cheer, and it's pretty cool. He made some friends.
Well, mini me, because he kind of looks like you.
He does, but I mean, he's got this rockin' Hulk Hogan mullet thing going on.
I know. I saw it.
The only places I can grow hair are the places people pay a lot of money to remove them from.
Yeah. Well, Speedy doesn't remove them at all.
No, I do not. No, I do not.
All right. So if anybody doesn't know how to play Let's Parlay, it's very simple. If you're a betting man, betting woman, you should be listening to Wes as he hits and he knocks them out of the park, especially CFL picks. This is how we play. He's going to give you his top 3 picks of the week, and then he's going to give you his 4th, which you can parlay if you want to. And usually he's 3-1 with the CFL picks, 4-0. But I'm sure he has some NFL picks. I'm sure he has something coming up. So, all right, here we go. Let's parlay.
It's time for Let's Parlay.
It is hard to narrow it down to 4 plays. So I will revisit the play as a bonus that I've been giving everybody for, almost a month now. But let's go college first. I'll stay away from the CFL. There's too much college and NFL that interests the listeners. Everybody's probably had enough of my CFL. But the first place I'm going is to the Georgia Tech Syracuse game. I think we all just saw how bad Florida State actually is. Florida State is not a very good team. So I think that Georgia Tech is overvalued given that win over Florida State. I like Syracuse in this one. Syracuse is at home. Kyle McCord's coming off of a 4-touchdown game. I think that he's in the ACC facing a lesser quality defense than what he did starting at Ohio State last year. But it looks like he's taking the next step forward. And Georgia Tech started as a 1-point favorite. They're now a 2.5-point favorite. Syracuse at home is getting 2.5 or 3. My call is Syracuse wins outright, but we're going to take the 2.5 points. That's a noon kickoff Eastern time on Saturday morning.
All right, that's your first. Give us your number 2.
I'm going to stay on Saturday, and I'm not giving you this pick because I'm going to be at the game. I'm giving you this pick because I don't see this team scoring points. I'm taking Alabama. I'm going to lay 30.5 points. I don't see anybody scoring on Alabama more than maybe a touchdown, and I don't see Bama scoring less than 30. Bama didn't look good for a minute, and I'm probably being a little critical, but I don't think they're going to miss a beat. In some ways, I see Daboll driving them forward in a completely different way. Milroe looks awesome. Their speed receivers have yet to have household names, but they still have the same speed, and their defense is just as stingy. Alabama right now, after week 1, even though they did not play a quality opponent, I think Alabama looks like the number 1 team in the country, and I would not be surprised to see them in a natty situation. So the play here is lay 30.5 Alabama. I will send pictures. I will be at the 50-yard line in Tuscaloosa Saturday night.
Who's better than you? I mean, you go to the Kansas City Royals game the other day, yesterday, and now you're going to an Alabama game. You're flying Alabama. I mean, I should hook you up with Mark, and you and Mark should hang out because he's an Alabama fan. He's over there.
You know, the Bama and Royals in the same week is just kind of coincidental. And when I sold my opening night Chiefs tickets to do it, like, what's that?
Well, I don't know what you were thinking. I mean, that's a pretty good game, Baltimore and Kansas City.
What I've learned, though, is if you utilize the services of our StubHub partners,
yes,
the banner-raising opening night games yield the best profit. It paid for about half my season, and I'm at the conference championship game this past year, not so much, but because it was on the road. But I'm at the playoff games. It doesn't get any better than that. So I'll sell opening night, make some profit, and give somebody else a chance to go.
Well, this year I'm coming to Kansas City. I'm definitely going to a Kansas City Chiefs game because I've never been to Kansas City. I've been to Kansas City. I've never been to a Kansas City Chiefs game. We got to go, and I'll watch you get drunk and me act like a complete idiot. How's that sound? That would be fun. I mean, watching me.
There's plenty of fun in KC.
I'm sure there is.
It's plenty of fun. All right, we're going to go to the NFL next.
Yes.
We're going to the NFL next. I'm going to insert my bonus here. For a month now, I've been telling everybody I love Arizona plus 6.5. For the new listeners, the way that I do futures is instead of, if you're a $10 player, instead of playing $10, I play 9, and then I put the $1 parlayed with what I'm doing and that future. So for the past month, maybe month and a half, I have been putting a piece of all my action parlayed with Arizona plus 6.5. This is a bonus because I've been giving it out. The play I'm going to give out here is I'm taking the Carolina Panthers plus 4. Carolina Panthers, if you start to look at their statistics, their defense is not very bad. And when you see, the first thing I see in this game is a division opponent. When you look at a division game, anything more than 3, I'm automatically looking at the underdog. Then I start to look at where the lines are. Nothing has moved. It stayed at 4. So there's no money significant on either side pushing this one. Still a division matchup. I like the 4 points. I don't think Bryce Young could get worse than what he was last year. I don't believe in anything on offense that the Saints can do. I think that we're going to see Kamara start to decline. Who's playing quarterback for the Saints, Errol?
Our car.
Okay.
I didn't even have to answer you. Speedy just gave it to you. He just gave it to you.
Derek Carr with the Raiders and the pieces that he had, that was his fit. I just don't believe in him here in a division matchup. I think Carolina can win this game. I don't think that they're going to be straight garbage this year. I think that they can flirt with being 500. They can't get worse than they did last year. I don't think that they're poorly coached, and I don't think that their roster is bad. And they've made some under the radar significant moves in terms of role players. So I do like Carolina here taking 4 points.
All right. That's 3, right? That was 3.
That was 3.
All right. Give us your final pick, my friend.
Well, I gave you the bonus on the NFL, so I'm going to go back to college, and this one is interesting. I'm taking Kansas. I am not a Jayhawk fan. I bleed Ohio State. Even though I live in Kansas, I am not. This is not a homer pick. I do like Jayhawk football. They did not get much contribution from Arnold last week. I love Neal, their running back. They just have a really good roster. But what I like the most about this Jayhawk team this year is I was in Lawrence a couple weeks ago, just happened to be there for a wedding. The stadium is under renovations, so they will not be playing. So all of their home games are going to be being played in Kansas City, Kansas, at the stadium where the Sporting KC soccer team plays, or like they're playing Colorado at Arrowhead. So some of the bigger matchups are at Arrowhead. The Kansas Jayhawks are a road team the entire season. They're going to Illinois. This is a total mismatch from a roster standpoint. But what's interesting, because you guys know I like to look at line movement to see where smart money is. 50% of the tickets are on both sides, but somehow the line moved to 1 point. Doesn't make sense. So I'm laying 5.5 on the road favorite, and I'm taking Kansas going to Illinois, and I think that the 5.5 is a gift. I think that they're going to be leading by double digits at the half, And I think that they'll probably keep their starters in. That's typically the way Coach Leipold does it. He's pretty hard-nosed coach with a couple of D3 natties. I'll keep going, but I'm going to lay 5.5, and I'm going to take the Kansas Jayhawks. Rock, chalk, Jayhawk.
Speedy, you have to show him. Go ahead.
No, that wasn't the time for the symbol, but
It is. Give us the shocking. You gotta. There it is. There it is.
We'll get to that come basketball season.